Hey, what's going on, guys? Marty 6 Inch Wrestlers here, and today I'm going to be doing my review of Zootopia, Inside Out, Sing, and Big Hero 6. Now, this one is a long one, and there's almost nothing positive. Now, yes, I'm very pissed off at the moment because I fell on the way to my bus, which sucked. And so right now I'm not in a good mood. So let's begin. So let's start out talking about why these movies suck ass. I'm also gonna censor this video on me. You're gonna get a lot of beep. Unless it sounds really stupid, but let's begin. Starting out, the problem with each of these movies, everything's bad about them. Let's talk about the problems with Big Hero 6. So it's automatically, all of these movies, the main character is so unlikable. Like, you have, Judy, who wants to make the world a better place. You have, Joy, who just thinks being happy or having or being smiling all the time is the best way to make the best life ever. That's not true. Essentially, Joy should eventually realizes is the what the fuck was that animal? The guy who starts the concert and sing, he thinks he can get a person who doesn't like anything to like it at the very least. We also have Hero and Big Hero 6, who, yeah. Let's begin with one of them. My problem with Big Hero 6 is the way they treat Baymax. Baymax is supposed to be a doctor, right? Yeah. So how come he doesn't know the difference between the life and death? If you are a doctor, you're supposed to know the difference. If you don't know the difference, you don't know anything. It means you're not a doctor. Baymax falls into he's not a doctor because he doesn't know the difference. So when, spoiler alert, spoilers for basically all of these movies, Hero's brother dies and Baymax asks, when will he return? It's like, or he's here, where in actuality a normal robot or a speaking robot would have been like, I have a video of Tadashi, I think that was his name. I don't want to rewatch the movie ever again. These movies are gonna get the same grade at the very end. These are fucking terrible movies. Insanely bad. These are awful. Probably the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So, let's begin. Let's continue, I should say. Baymax eventually comes to the conclusion that and essentially the problem with the final battle with Magneto robot guy who can control robots, whoever the fuck his name was, or Callahan, I think that was the name, whatever his villain name was. Essentially speaking, Baymax is a robot. You can build him again. A plastic-made robot means you can just take the green card, the microchip, and you build him again. That is the easiest thing. So even if he dies, you can build him again. Apparently, Hero is so hard to like. I haven't even got to the others. Like, we have Fred or Firing Dragon Batman ripoff. That's what I'm gonna call him throughout the video. Basically, he's the worst character in the entire movie. Even worse than Baymax, because he has a butler. He's just so hard. It's just so tough to like him. It's impossible. That's enough. Well, and you also have the others like Honey Lemon, Yo-Yo, guy with swords, essentially. I don't know what his name was. I'm too lazy to ever find who his name was. all of them were terrible. They're unlikable, and they're tough to watch, for me at least. I don't want to do this. I'd rather watch Flash Season 7 over this. At least Flash Season 7 had some logic. It actually didn't turn out to rip off stuff, which made sense. God, I just want to watch that over this. And then you have The Aunt, which is just a ripoff of Spider-Man's Aunt May. I know Big Hero 6 are more from Marvel, but come on. You didn't actually have to make it like that. Yes, in the cat thing, there are times comic books don't work in animated or live action movie. Say on my show is completely different. Yes, it's a weird show because it's meant to be a weird show. But there's still realistic elements. I probably have to stop bringing up my show at this point. Yeah. There are weird elements, but it still has realistic elements. So alone, I absolutely do not like that they add that, because at that point they're just ripping off better source materials. Yes. The villain, let's talk. The villain's reveal came near the end of the movie, meaning it's like in the third corner. Typically, villain reveals always happen either the first or second half. Never in the third act. This is something that the Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, well, not Far From Home, but Homecoming suffered, was that they made the villain sympathetic way too late. At the very end, you can't make the villain sympathetic because you barely had enough time to actually sympathize with him beforehand. Same problem here. God, I hate this movie. Big Hero 6, it's a horrible movie. Let's go on to the others. The others are somehow even worse. Inside Out. The only good part about it is Rage, or the red guy. The guy who just screams all the time. He's the only guy that you can actually relate to. Apart from that, this whole movie is trash. Inside Out, or more should be called Inside the Horrible Mind, Outside the Terrible Movie. So let's talk about the character of... What was that human's name again? Oh, Riley. So, she is horrible. She's unlikable. She's tough. And I think that's the problem. She thinks that moving is going to be so bad. Yes, moving might be rough. But here's the thing. You kind of have to accept that you moved at some point. And when you do that, you're fine. I don't understand why is this so hard for Riley to understand. Like, every child her age would know it would be tough when it's time to move out of the house and try to move to a better place. It's tough, I know. But it would have made her more likable if she actually knew it was tough. This is the problem with Pixar movies. They always have to make the characters, like, it's so tough for them to live. That is not... Yes, that formula works for some movies, but it can't work for every single movie. Or, yeah, Disney or Pixar. They always think that having the characters in a struggling life is the best way to make their characters. That's not the best way to make their characters likable or unlikable. It makes them more unlikable because then you're doing the same thing. Coco suffered this. Coco was horrible because of the fact that it just felt like your typical Pixar movie. yeah, Pixar and Disney movie, where you have a character that likes a certain subject, but nobody else does, or is struggling to like something without his family knowing. Yeah, we get it. It's so annoying. I wish they do something different, but they're never gonna do anything different because it's Disney. Yes, these. I don't know what to say. I don't. Fear was kind of and Rage. Fear and Rage are the only guys that actually feel like they actually belong in this type of story. Like, here's the thing. Here's what I hate. Was the character of Sadness. Sadness. This is constantly being told, and unless she can't hear, which by the way, there's no goddamn evidence, it's literally impossible for her to not to listen. Unless she's just a straight up troublemaker, that would make sense. Let's just go on to Sing. I'm doing quick reviews. I don't feel that good. Really, I don't feel that good today. Let's begin with the problem with Sing. Let's do his iconic catchphrase, a singing competition. A singing competition. A singing competition. A singing competition. That's literally the most that's literally the most. I don't know how you say that, but I don't know how people can't laugh at that, but it's like the most memorable line. A singing competition. Illumination failed with this movie. The problem with Sing, the biggest problem, was that the character of the elephant girl is scared, but that's the problem. The character, the guy who's starting the whole singing concert, doesn't actually try to help her. Saying, hey, I know you're scared. Maybe we can chat about it. Maybe he could explain to her, or maybe we could get some development. Like, the guy is trying to, like, the guy who began the concert, because that's how a real life concert would happen. Say there was a person who was so scared, the person, I was always, never mind about that, but, the guy who was starting the concert, I forgot his name, but he could literally help the elephant girl and explain, maybe in some flashbacks, when he was going to become a singer, he was scared as well, and it would have made more sense than actually giving him some development. But it never happens. I'm just gonna go to Zootopia lately. I haven't even watched it in years. I don't care about the movie. It sucks. Let's talk about Zootopia for the last one. Zootopia, my fucking god. Let's start with the problems. How does Nick in Wild know, literally everybody? That's like me saying, I know every single person in the world. I don't. Nick clearly doesn't understand the entire world or knows everybody in the whole world. Maybe he knows, a lot of people in the world, in Zootopia. That makes more sense. It's more realistic. A lot of people in that city. That's more realistic. The problem with Judy being a cop was that they act as like there's never been a rabbit cop. A rabbit cop. What? Sorry, what? Do you have different types of animals as cops? Why isn't there a rabbit? Not trying to be rude or anything, but you have to tell me, how has there never been a rabbit who has been brave to become a cop? It doesn't make sense. Nothing in the movie makes sense. I'm losing my sanity. Anyways, let's keep going on. So let's talk about the ox. So let's say the ox. So the ox gave him 48 hours, meaning in 24 hours you still have another day or 2 days essentially. So how come when the first day is over, he acts like he's still like she has that it's been like 2 days? That was just the first day. Now you could say, well, it's been 2 days since the slot, but really, there's no evidence of that. Barry or the sloth, or I think there's Flash. Yeah, Flash. Where Nick said he's the fastest guy there, but yet he's a sloth. So pretty insulting. Again, well, I know sloths are meant to be the slower, but come on, they're not that slow. It makes it more boring and frustrating to watch because nothing in Zootopia makes any sense. It doesn't. I know this wasn't a lot of ranting, but I'm just so fucking pissed off. Yeah, I will add like censors because I don't want I bet some kids are gonna watch this and are gonna be disturbed by all the swearing. So yeah, I'm just gonna get my review out. I really hate these movies. Easily, I'm gonna give Zootopia, Inside Out, Big Hero 6, and Sing a Z or an F plus. But what do you think of these movies? Do you like them? Do you hate them? As always, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.